Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, South Hill Farm. As you can see in the back, we've finally gotten some snow, and it's just a light dusting of snow for now, but it's a great time for it to accumulate, and I hope we do get some accumulation of snow. And so it certainly brightens up the atmosphere, and having that cool snowy day. There's a few flakes just lightly falling today. It's a beautiful thing, and so hopefully it'll stay this time around. I think we're supposed to have some cool weather, some -5 degrees C, -2 degrees C, and hopefully that'll stay so that we have a cool down for the winter time. So today in this video we'll go and show you a little bit how we'll complete the seeding plan for this year, going through the seeding catalogs, filling out that first initial rough draft of what we're going to plant for this coming year. And again, in my last video, I said we're going to keep it simple and small this time. We're cutting back our expectations for this year, and in doing so, going to grow a few things really, really well. One thing I've noticed as I've made my plan, it seems to grow, and this, the reason is because it has to do with succession planting. I still want to continue the idea and the management of progressive planting. I think that's really, really important to make sure that we have something in the ground all the time. I'm also really looking forward to putting in irrigation this year. That was, as I said, that was the missing spoke in the wheel in the past year, and that irrigation is going to it's a leapfrog to success, to the success of planting. It's something that you have to have, is an irrigation system for this type of high density vegetable and fruit growth. You cannot do without it. So it's something that we're looking forward to. Today I am going to reserve my political and religious view for another video, because there's so much going on and there's so many other people talking about it. Whether or not you need my input or my views on it is not something of a primary focus for me, other than to say that there's a lot going on out there, and there's a lot of people commenting on them. I am so happy about YouTube, and the reason I'm so happy about YouTube is because it gives liberty to free press. The liberty has been taken away from the free press for a long time, and this is a new development. Some people say, well, YouTube's been around for a long time. Yeah, well, no, it hasn't been around for a long time. I caught on to YouTube in 2012, but it's been growing at an exponential pace since I would say 2011, 2012, 2013. Before that, people were just starting to catch on. But I can say for one thing, it's very conclusive in my mind. That it's brought liberty back to the free press, because before the press was not free. So now we have true news, and we have what most people getting, which is alternative news. Of course, that's the big catchphrase today, is alternative news, right? And of course we know which one is alternative and which one is true news. So thankfully we do have that. Let's get back on to what we're really interested in, and that's growing food in a very complex and special time in the history of humanity. And I hope that you'll join me in going through the plan, finishing off the seeding plan. Let's do that today. On you, puppy cow. Go on now. So we're back inside, continuing the work on our plan. So since the last video, I went through that video. I counted how many vegetables and fruits that I have already on my plan, and it's 26. But, you know, and what I've done is I've done exactly what any high-density, multi-fruit vegetable farmer would do. He'll categorize, or he or she will categorize what they're planting. In other words, lettuce, leaf lettuce, romaine varieties, radish, beans, carrots, herbs. I want to plant herbs. I want to get good at planting herbs. I planted some in my first observation year. Turned out okay, I just had too many. Peppers, eggplant, cucumber, spinach, onion, tomato. Oh yeah, and I want to plant garlic, so we'll put garlic down here as a type, or rather as a category. And then underneath those I have the varieties that I have. So a good example, in lettuce I have Annapolis, I have flashy trout back. In leaf lettuce I have Scaramanga. Love the name Scaramanga. You know, it reminds me of a Bond movie. What was that? Actually, that guy's name was Scaramanga, right? Scaramanga. I think as one of the bad guys was Scaramanga. Beautiful name, right? Very European, you know. Black-seeded Simpson. Romaine lettuce is Green Forest, Annapolis, Little Gem Pearl. Just to give you some examples, and I live in a zone where a frost zone of 5 to 6. So that's my planting zone. So the majority, the catalogs that I get, they focus on my planting zone. Tomatoes. I have had great success with tomatoes, especially the cherry tomatoes, the small ones. Boy, do they ever pack a flavor. Unbelievable flavor. So some of them I'm going to do again. I have a few here. Mosaic mix, chocolate, and sugary. So those 3 tomatoes I planted last year, again, they were like they came from heaven. They were so good. Cucumber, cucamelon, and Market More, and it goes on and on. So you create your own list. Don't be afraid to try new things. Make sure you have some of the conventional stuff that you know will work in your market. One of the great things about the market that we're in now, thanks to the pioneers of this food movement, which I believe is going to be a lasting food movement, in that they've introduced a variety back to the local people. And I think even though some local people are very, very resistant, some of them are starting to pick and say, hey, wow, this tastes good and this is worth the extra cost to get a little bit of it, you know. And those are the type of people that that you're catering to. It's those people that just can't get enough of that special flavor that comes from organic or beyond organic growth, and that you cannot usually cannot find in the grocery store. Another thing that I do is I also do a subcategory of, and this subcategory is part of the start of the succession planting, as well as the scheduling of the plants, of the seeds. But the reason I do this initially, and it is just initial. Again, this is all a draft. But I have 3 other categories, which are really scheduling categories as I put this down, because I already have 1 year record of what I've done and what's going to work. So I'm using that information now to continue to establish something that's going to work. Good example is I have 3 now. I have S equals spring plant, F equals fall plant, LS equals late spring plant, and then I should have another one for summer plant. So what I should have here for spring plant, I had S, and maybe I should use S for summer plant. So whatever initial you use is irrelevant. It's for you to remember, and what works for the way that your brain works. So for summer, I have to try to figure out for something for summer. S may be better for summer, and E may be better for early plant. So I may change that, and depending on how I feel as I go through this. But I only have a few of these now set for the schedule. So my initial schedule is not yet set, and then I have a few more main categories to choose varieties for. Specifically, you're here for onion. I only have one for spinach. I have two for cucumber, and I'm satisfied with that. Even though you can get cucumber really cheap at the supermarket, they lack flavor. So that's where I really went out, or that's where small market gardeners really went out. Their fruits and vegetables really pack a punch. Bang! You can't get enough of it, and that's what you want. And this is what the mass producers miss. They go for quantity. Quite often they miss on quality, and sometimes they don't. I mean, they are getting better at it. I have to admit, I went into a store or rather my wife brought something back from a store the other day, and it actually tasted what it looked like, and which was rather a surprise. But that is not very common, rather it's uncommon, I'm finding out. Pepper, I have 3 varieties, that's plenty. Dill, for herbs, I've got dill, fennel, and chamomile. I think those are the 3 that at least from my point of view, are the mainstays of herbs, and I think they should be in every garden. They have other qualities for pest resistance, insect resistance, that are really helpful when you plant them in between. You plant them with other greens, so they have other help as well. But I just want to plant them just as a separate item. Beans, I have 3 different types of beans, and my beans are not, except for Carmenat, I think are not usual beans. Montegusto, extreme color in Montegusto. So some beautiful stuff. I have 3 different types of carrots. Radish, because radish grows, I put those seeds in the ground, and they just, within 30 days I've got radish. So I'm going to be really careful about radish. Maybe, and I think I'll try. I think from last year I still have a mix of radish, and so I think I'll just replant those, or not replant, but I'll plant those seeds again, and just have a mix. One thing I want to make sure is that my radish are not too spicy. I found out that the last batch of radish that I had, they were too hot, and I personally don't like hot vegetables, so I really do cater to my own taste for the most part. Eggplant I have, and I'm going to look maybe 1 or 2 more categories, and I'm going to stop. And what I might do for the other categories, or some categories are not there, I might have what I would call an experimentation row, where I may have, half a dozen different categories of fruits or vegetables that I might experiment with. So they may or may not go on the stand, at the market stand, but they'll be there to experiment with. I think it's really, really important that market gardeners do that. They're in constant experimentation, especially in the beginning. 10, 15 years down the line, you may not be experimenting because you've experimented a lot already. You know what works, but hey, look, just to keep the ball rolling and to make things interesting and enjoyable. Experimenting is always worth the small effort that it takes. So that's enough. I've got 26 so far. By the time I'm finished, I may have between 30 and 35 different fruits and vegetables within a category of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly 10 to 12 actual categories of different types of fruits and vegetables that I have here. And that will do. I'm going to cut myself off and say this is what I'm going to do with my succession planting, and from there I'm going to make it work. So the next video I will share with you all the different types, and then we'll go on to how I place these items in a spreadsheet that I developed last year. And with that spreadsheet is where I start getting I start getting a little more complex, but not complex enough that you can't understand it. And what I want to also reinforce is that you do not need a computer to do this. You can just, even with your scheduling, you can do it with a calendar and a pencil with a good eraser. So just keep that in mind. If in fact you like to keep those things simple, do that, okay? And until the next video, have a great week. Hopefully I'll be able to make another video